Hello, my name's Jim Keena. I'm one of the pastors on staff at the Evangelical Free Church of Bozeman. You know, one of the side effects, the negative side effects of the coronavirus crisis that we're experiencing as a nation is we don't get to see each other. We don't get to gather together and worship. And in light of the fact that we can't meet together and see each other, at least I can talk to you via video. So here's the plan: is myself and other elders over the next few days will record some devotional videos during Holy Week leading up to Easter, when we will celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So today I just want to look at the element of Palm Sunday, the beginning of Holy Week. John tells his version of the story in John chapter 12 to set the context. In John chapter 11, Jesus had raised Lazarus from the dead. What a tremendous miracle. Now, this occurred in a village called Bethany, which was only 2 miles from Jerusalem, a short walk. And word spread to Jerusalem about the miracle that occurred, and people began to throng to see Lazarus and to see Jesus and to hear what really happened. As his fame spread, word came that Jesus was entering Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. When the word was spread, a crowd went out to meet him. They took palm fronds and began to wave them back and forth, and they had become, the palm fronds, a sign of Jewish nationalism. And they went out before he entered the city and began to lay them on the ground. And as he was riding a donkey, he didn't come in town on a red carpet. He came in on a green carpet made of palm fronds. They were shouting and they were singing. And this is how John explains it. The next day, the great crowd that had come for the feast of Passover, heard that Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem. They took palm branches and went out to meet him, shouting, "Hosanna." Hosanna is Aramaic for this: save us now. Save us now. They went on to say, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." They knew that Jesus was coming in God's name. And they also believed that Jesus was king. The latter part says this: they would say, "Blessed is the King of Israel." They were expecting him to rule and reign. Now, as I read this, here's one thought that came to my mind. Jesus saves, but not always in the way that we think he will. Jesus saves, but not always in the way that we think he will. Now, they were shouting, "Save us now." And they expected to be saved from Rome. They expected to be saved politically. They expected to be saved immediately. Save us now. And Jesus did come to save them, but he didn't come to save them in the way that he thought he would. Rather than coming to save them politically, he came to save them spiritually. Rather than coming to save them from Rome, he came to save us and them from a greater enemy, sin. And rather than saving them immediately, Jesus' plan was to save us eternally. Here's the reality: Jesus saves, but not always in the way that we think he will. Later on, if you want to fast forward to Good Friday, this group that has said, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, blessed is the King of Israel," they changed their tune. When Jesus is brought before the crowd begins to shout, "Crucify him, crucify him." Not save now, not save now. Crucify him, crucify him. And they went on to say, "We have no king but Caesar." They weren't singing his praise, but they were shouting for his execution. Jesus then was taken to the cross, and there he was crucified. And what we see is that Jesus was crucified to save us. Not in the way that they thought they would be saved, but in the way that we needed to be saved. Because you see, something is far greater than being enslaved to Rome, is being enslaved to sin. That is our greatest need. And Jesus died on the cross in our stead to save us. In other accounts, people, when Jesus was on the cross, began to mock him. And I believe it's Matthew's account where they said of Jesus, he saved others, but he cannot save himself. And there was some truth in that, because he gave himself to save us as well. You see, Jesus always saves. He just doesn't always save in the way that we think he will.